In this section, we will discuss a whole bunch of movement types. But to give you a holistic picture, I'm going to talk about so many different things. Things like internal order, production order, assets, project systems, and all of them in the context of movement type. So don't worry if you don't understand what's happening here in its entirety. I just want you to understand the big picture and see that movement type is used everywhere. Anytime there is a goods movement, it's not just purchase order, goods receipt, invoice receipt. There are so many different processes that use movement type. So if you are considering coffee, let's say on the left, we'll talk about goods receipts. And on the right, we'll talk about goods issues. So this is issues, and this is receipts. All right. So what is the basic form of a goods receipt in MM? It's receipt against a PO, right? So when you receive goods against a PO, let's go do that. Go do a ME21N 4001. Quantity of 100. And save it. Make a note of the purchase order. Control C. Let's do a MyGo. And it's going to be a goods receipt against a purchase order. And put the purchase order number in there. Enter. And if you look at the movement type, it's 101. So the movement type against a standard purchase order's goods receipt is 101. Click item OK and save. Okay, so against a PO, the movement type is 101. So you have received 100 pounds of coffee, right? Now, you can also receive goods without a PO, isn't it? So, goods receipt, other, and the movement type is 501. And the process is going to be the same. You enter the plant, you enter the storage location, you enter the vendor, and that's it. So without PO, the movement type is going to be 501. So goods receipt with a PO is movement type 101, and goods receipt without PO is movement type 501. Now when you do this conversion, right, from first grade to second grade, How do you know that it's time to convert? You have some metrics, right? You do some kind of QA, quality analysis, and determine that it's no longer relevant for first grade. Let's shift it to second grade. So, in order to do that, you got to be able to do some level of QA, pick up some material from the lot, and do your quality analysis. This kind of quality analysis or QA sampling, okay, I'll put it under issues because this is something that we are trying to remove from stock. So, one type of issue is QA sampling, and the movement type for that I think is also somewhere in the 300s. So, let's go do that. So, what are we going to do? We're going to do a goods issue. Forum material coffee beans 01. Let's say a very small quantity, right? We don't want to really take 10 kilos, but maybe 1 pound. Okay. Where do you want to do it? You want to use movement type go somewhere to the 300s and starting with this one, withdrawal from sampling for quality inspection. So from sampling for quality inspection, and we are doing that from unrestricted use from Chicago plant, from coffee beans storage location. Okay, so this is withdrawal for sampling. Just click check, make sure everything is okay, and save. Now if you go back, so we have 105 here. We have withdrawn 1 pound of coffee for sampling. Go back here, it should be 104. Oh, looks like it's picked up from quality inspection. So 331 is a movement type from quality stock for sampling. If you want to do it for unrestricted stock, I think you should be able to do somewhere in that number range. Go to the 300 number range, and 331 was withdrawal from quality stock. 332 withdrawal for sampling from quality stock, that's a reversal from unrestricted stock. So try 333. Okay, 333 from plant Chicago 1 in storage location coffee beans. And what do you want to do? We want to withdraw coffee beans 01. How much? 1 pound, not more than that. Okay, now do a check, make sure everything is okay, click save. If you go here, now stock of 1 pound is being withdrawn for quality inspection from unrestricted stock. So 105 should go down to 104. Let's check that. There you go. So 331 was to remove from quality inspection stock, and 333 is to remove from unrestricted use. Well, we don't want to remember all the movement times anyway, so I'll put 333. That's issuing goods for QA sampling. Now let's say we have procured first grade coffee beans. These are really high quality coffee beans, real fresh. But say after a month, the first grade coffee beans degrade to second grade. Maybe because they get stale. A bit stale, not too stale, just a bit stale. So this is coffee beans 01. That's the material. Well, let's say there is another material that we sell. It's second grade coffee beans. Call it coffee beans 02, and the price of this is say $10, and the price of this is say $9 or $8. Now we can procure the second grade coffee beans separately using a purchase order, or say for example the first grade coffee beans degrade to second grade coffee beans if you don't use them for a month. That means if we still have them in stock, you're not able to sell them, you can very well package them as second grade coffee beans. Now, how do you do that? What we are essentially doing from a systems perspective, well, from a coffee beans perspective, I think you understand what we are doing. We are just repackaging the same material, maybe doing a relabeling. But from a systems perspective, we are essentially converting one material to another. Isn't it? We are saying 100 pounds of coffee beans of first grade material coffee beans 01 being converted to another material, second grade coffee beans 02. That means if you are converting 100 pounds of this coffee, 100 pounds of coffee beans 01 will be gone out of the inventory. It will vanish and it will be recreated as coffee beans 02. How do you do that? You use a material type for that. I think it's somewhere in the 300 range. So let's just do that. It's done through transfer posting. So go to my Go and do a transfer posting. And the material is coffee beans 01, plant Chicago, storage location coffee, and what are we trying to do? We should be converting a material from one type to another. So let's see. Not plant to plant, not remove from storage. Okay, there you go. 309, transfer posting material to material. So we are transfer posting from one material to another. And how much are we doing that for? 100 pounds. Let's see if there's a material coffee beans O2. If not, we can do a coffee material O5. Okay. Okay, so that's coffee material O5. So from O1, we are converting to O5. Okay, I just didn't find O2, so I'm just using O5. And it's all happening in the Chicago plant, coffee storage location. The quantity that we are converting is 100. And this is where you put the movement type 309. Okay, now do a check. Because we are using coffee material O5, okay, we have a problem. Okay, eliminate all that. So let's go create a material, coffee beans O2. Coffee beans O2. And this is of type retail and of type raw material, right? Just like coffee beans O1, just a different grade. Go to basic data 1, purchasing, general data, and accounting. Chicago, storage location, coffee. You just don't call it second grade, you just give it a more beautiful name, right? Like aged or whatever. I'm just giving it the same name. And pound, material group 015. Enter evaluation class 3000. Moving average price. Enter. Save. Okay, so we created another material, coffee beans 02. Now go to MyGo and do a transfer posting. What are we doing here? We are converting 100 pounds of coffee beans O1, assuming it's there, in the Chicago plant to coffee beans O2. And before we do that, let me open another window and see how much stock we have, right? So MMBE, coffee beans O1, and hit OK. So we are interested in the stock of coffee beans in Chicago plant and coffee bean storage location. The stock is 205. Okay, if you take 100 down or do a conversion for 100 pounds, this should go down to 105, right? And then let me open another window and see how much stock we have for the material coffee beans O2. We just created it, so there should not be any stock. It should be blank, right? So let's go do a transfer posting. Of what? Of coffee material O1, right? And what are we trying to do? We are trying to do a transfer posting or conversion from one material type to another, or one material to another. So it's this one, 309, transfer posting material type to material. Select that or double click it. Okay, and hit enter. So over here, go and select a different material. So we want to select coffee beans O2, right? There you go. This is the target material. Enter. Okay, so we are converting from O1 to O2. And where are we doing that? We are doing that in the Chicago plant and coffee beans storage location. How much? For a quantity of 100 pounds. Now do a check. See if everything is okay. Save it. Document is posted. Go refresh this. You see that? From 205, it went down to 105. So the quantity of coffee beans O1, the first grade coffee beans, went down by 100. And this, the second grade of coffee beans, should have gone up by 100. Right? So this went down by 100 and this went up by 100. And the movement type that we used was 309, right? And maybe after a month you want to convert it to third grade coffee beans. Sure, you can do the same thing. Same movement type, 309. Now, let's say from first grade we move the material to second grade, and you can keep doing that a number of times, right? And finally, if you think the coffee has become so stale that you can't really sell it, maybe it's got mold or it's really unsellable, what do? You scrap it. And when you scrap it, it's basically useless. You just throw it away. You just dump it. And what do you do for that? And how do you do that? So, and you do that using a particular movement type. So what movement type should be used for scrapping material? Well, let's just see. So we want to do a goods issue, yeah, and not against a cost center, but we want to do it for scrapping. Let's see, it should be somewhere in 300 or 500. Not 400, it should be somewhere in 500. Withdrawal for scrapping. Okay. From unrestricted stock. That sounds good. 551. Right? And we want to do it from the Chicago plant and coffee bean storage location. And we want to withdraw what? We want to withdraw coffee beans O1. How much do you want to withdraw? Maybe all 100 pounds has gone stale. Right? Now do a quick check. Make sure everything is okay. Okay. So when you scrap the material, there's got to be some department or some cost center that should absorb the cost. In this case, the cost center, I'm putting it as admin O1, but typically businesses will have a separate cost center dedicated for scrapping. So that will accumulate all the costs associated with scrapping. Right? So check, make sure everything is okay, and click save. Okay. Now, I want you to take a look at this material document 54900,849. Copy, go back, MB03. That's how we view material documents. Enter. And this is scrapping 100 pounds of coffee because we know the material type is 551. And let's look at the accounting documents. Go to accounting document, just double click that entry, and you'll see that the inventory is credited, or inventory went down by $118, which is the cost of 100 pounds of coffee. And the other account that's debited or added to is the raw material scrap account. It's 40001. So what happened here? The inventory went down by so much, 100 pounds. And a scrap account, a raw material scrap account in this case, for finished materials there could be another scrap account. The scrap account went up. So when you scrap goods, you use movement type 551. I'm just putting all the movement types in these square brackets so that when you quickly look at the screen, you understand all the different movement types. Well, at least the ones that we are discussing here. So when you scrap the goods, what happens? The raw materials, in this case, we are using coffee, so I'm calling it raw materials. If you are scrapping finished goods, well, the finished goods material account goes down, and correspondingly, the scrap account goes up. So that's the balance in terms of accounting that happens when you do scrapping.